All right, everyone, come on into the room. We're going to be starting our Holograms panel, and it's going to be moderated by Christina Heller, CEO, founder of Metastage. So thank you, everyone, for being here.
Hello, hello. Is this thing on? Is this thing? All right. Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Experiential Hologram panel. Thank you to VR Fest for programming us today. I'm Christina Heller. I'm the CEO of Metastage. We do volumetric video, so that's like putting real people and real performances into AR and VR experiences. Sometimes we call it holograms, sometimes, but it's a little different than what my fellow panelists do to here today. I may chime in a little bit, but I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about the industry, and we're in for a good discussion. We've got Natascha, David, Eric, and Ronnie. And everyone here has a hologram company. So I'm going to start off by saying, obviously, I think holograms are awesome. Holographic technology was first brought into prominence in the 50s, started gaining popularity in the 60s, and then the kind of cheap holographic technology that we know today, the kind you see in credit cards or at Spencer's Gifts and things like that, kind of came into prominence in the 70s. Today we've got large-scale holograms with lasers and no glasses or headwear needed, which is one of the most fun parts about this. If you guys would all go down the line and quickly introduce yourself and your companies, and we can start the conversation there.
My name is Natascha French. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for VNTANA. So we're a mixed reality company that specializes in interactive holograms. So imagine being able to serve a tennis ball as a hologram to Roger Federer. He hits it, you get an email with a video that you can share, and then we can track all the data using facial recognition so we can help brands learn about their customers better.
I'm David Nussbaum. I run a company called Hologram USA in Los Angeles. And we have the patented technology that was once used to bring Tupac to the stage at Coachella. We can bring anybody back to life pending a state approval. We've done it dozens of times, performing concerts around the world in front of tens of thousands of people at a time. The technology is also really great for politics because you could safely beam yourself or any politician from the safety of his or her own office into dozens or even hundreds of projection stages around the district, state, or country in real time, so you can have the ability to hear, see, and interact with your national or global audience. And that is my favorite part about holograms. So bringing people back to life as digital resurrections and beaming people from anywhere to anywhere else in real time, I think is where the technology is actually going.
I'm Eric Hungerford. I'm an executive producer at Mousetrappe. We're a media design and production studio in Los Angeles. We are a reseller of a technology called Deep Frame, which is sort of the next evolution of Pepper's Ghost that we are very excited about and are developing some key attractions around.
Hello, my name is Ronnie Lee. I'm the president and CEO of Holocryptics. We're actually a local company from here in Las Vegas. Having a background in the entertainment industry as far as DJs and performers, that's kind of our focal space and where we like to navigate. And that's it.
Yeah. So we'll start with a softball question, but why holograms? What's so exciting about holographic technology to you guys? And what got you into this field to begin with?
Well, like you started off and said holograms are awesome. I think using the technology to create things that you can't physically do or be is what makes it exciting. But I think why our holograms are going is, I always like to start off and say our attention span is now less than the goldfish. We're at 8 seconds, the goldfish is 9 seconds. Our attention spans are going down. There's so much distraction, just walk down the strip. So by using this new type of immersive tech, it's really allowing brands to engage with consumers, but more importantly, allowing consumers to be the main part of the story. And I think that's where I think holograms are great, because it adds that sexy value of it's eye-catching, it's engaging, but it's still a new way of immersive storytelling that can be used across different platforms, from training when it comes to healthcare companies, to advertising when it comes to brands, to teleporting people to many locations at once.
I agree. That everything that Natascha just said is spot on. The thing that I like about holograms the most, and the reason why I'm super passionate about it is because it brings new audiences to maybe historical moments in time. We just recently brought Ronald Reagan back as a digital resurrection. He is now alive via hologram, and he greets all of the visitors into the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. You walk in, you pay your ticket, and all of a sudden now President Reagan goes through 3 or 4 minutes of old, historical speeches, but it's like you're watching it as he's giving it for the first time. So it's for education. It keeps an estate alive. The Tupac example, he had been dead 10 years. But when he performed at Coachella, he now performed in front of one of the largest audiences he had ever performed in front of, but as a departed icon. His record sales went through the roof. He was charting for the first time in a decade. The estate was relevant, and his brand was strong. So when you bring somebody back, or when you beam somebody from somewhere to somewhere else, seeing the faces of the people in the audience, or seeing the tears come down the eyes of the children of the icon that we've brought back, it just really kind of brings everything home.
Yeah, I think we're seeing kind of a seismic shift where audiences want to be less passive and be more involved in the content that they're watching. And holograms definitely bring content into their real world and real spaces. I think that helps psychologically bring audiences into an experience or into a form of entertainment.
Yeah, I agree with all the panelists. For me, because I come from the music industry, the other companies that I work with, we mix and master music and work with producers. What really fascinated me about the holograms was the ability to expand or let more people see the individuals that are performing. So not as much in regards to bringing somebody back to life or resurrecting someone, but simply having an artist that can perform in all these spaces that normally wouldn't be able to afford them. So if you think of the guys that you're seeing on the strip and these type of DJs, they don't normally perform in a small town in a venue that's 200, 250 cap. You just can't do it. So that's what really excited me about it, because we would be able to actually have, you see the mannerism of the person performing, you see them, you can connect with them on a deeper level, and that's what I really enjoyed.
It's like taking the live performer and making them a piece of digital content in that way, where one of the challenges, for instance, of live theater is that it's hard to distribute in a big way to a lot of people at scale. And here you're taking some of the magic, I think, of that live performance and making it more like digital media, where in the way that an artist can sell an iTunes, their song on iTunes or something like that. Would you characterize it like that?
Yes, but I take it a step further than that, because anything that you're doing that's a disruptor or that's different, you're going to get resistance, and so people are going to fear it. In the artist world, people feared the video. Video killed the radio star. They even made a song about it. Back in the day, when you used to cut a record, you cut one piece of vinyl. And then that one piece of vinyl went to a radio. That's how you played it. And so they thought, if we make CDs or records or we multiply this media, we're not going to be able to sell shows anymore. The opposite happened. Because of their ability to share that music and touch people and have fans, now when they come to that town, they can actually perform in a venue with enough people to bring them in. So that's kind of how I see it.
For sure. I think when we think about holograms, something like the Tupac experience definitely comes to mind. The entertainment value is obvious. I'm curious about the practical applications. Could you walk us through how holographic technology could be used in some of the maybe seemingly less sexy fields of maybe medicine or training?
One of my favorite holograms we did is of a cow milking machine. So it's very, expensive to send the machine to trade shows, and probably even more expensive to bring the cow. So the company, we built the content, and now they, on their show floor, can have a fully interactive experience where people can come see how the machine works, walk through the technicalities of it, ask questions. And so on a B2B side, especially on the healthcare side, we're working with a lot of healthcare companies to train. So we recently just created an experience where we can take an AI chatbot, put a 3D avatar, and now you have a hologram AI. And you can talk to and ask questions. So we're actually using it for a lot of healthcare companies for training their partners, for sales, and then in retail as well, I think is going to be huge, where it's really unlikely that someone makes it to the cash register anymore. And so imagine having an experience mid-store where the person enters their name and email, does an experience, doesn't make it to the cash register, but now that brand can follow up with them with maybe a sale opportunity or whatnot, and now you have their information to follow up. So I think it's when you're looking at use of holograms, I always like to ask, what's the goal of using this type of technology? Is it for lead gen? Is it for social content creation? Is it because someone can't make it or you want a VIP experience because your brand ambassador is only available for an hour? Once you have that answer, let's create content that's going to meet all of those goals.
We do some holographic advertising, but Hologram USA pretty much just goes really big. There are some practical applications that make sense. Museums, retail. We beam CEOs in from wherever they are to wherever they need to be, and that doesn't generate us any publicity. We get calls all the time from somebody who wants to get married. Maybe the father of a bride says, "My daughter is going to walk down the aisle. Can we have Whitney Houston perform at her wedding?" So we like to do really big things. So when we do a music festival in front of 100,000 people in Mexico, when we bring somebody back to life, that is sort of where Hologram USA's sweet spot is. And but on the flip side, when we have our smaller little holograms at the kind of the point of purchase, we can have the large hologram kind of give the visitor the experience, and then we can sell them something on at the checkout line.
Yeah, I think retail is an area where holograms, the industry could be growing in that way. There's a way to instantly get a message, especially if you're talking about, say, high-end automobiles. Right? We've done some hologram where you can outline the entire pluses and minuses of a vehicle in holographic form, and it's an instantly gettable message. Any salesperson can do it, and it seems to be pretty successful.
So for me, when my partner is Fabrizio Massili, and he's a gentleman from Italy, and when he came over and we were first laying out, what are we going to do with this? Our problem was it was like rain coming down outside. There was just like so many places and so many directions to go if you could create a product that was accessible to the masses. If your product is six figures, then not everybody drives a Lamborghini. There's a lot more Nissans out there. So one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to have something that could be scaled, that a lot of people could use and you could use in a smaller format. So we had to narrow what we wanted to do with it, because anytime that I talk to anybody, and after this I could probably talk to 4 people out there, and 4 people have different application that they could do with the hologram. So I believe for what we want to do, we want to have something that's accessible. There's been movies around, TV shows forever and a day. You've seen holograms pop up in them. We're actually at a point now where we can actually create these holograms that are even better than those movies had. We're there. And now it's just getting people to understand them, and there's going to be different companies that that use a different space. We're not so much a marketing company. We're more of an entertainment company.
I get it. That's cool. Well, as somebody who works in volumetric video myself, I am an expert inside of maximizing inside of creative limitations. Inside of all this new technology, there's always some kind of limitations that you have to work around. I'm curious what the biggest creative limitations you find are inside of the work that you do. For instance, I'll give for instance, with volumetric video, we're struggling with hair. It's very difficult to capture things that are very thin, and so if my hair is down like this, the software has trouble recognizing that this is a thin piece of hair, and it will try to create geometry with that, so it might attach to my shirt or create an unusual blob around my face. So we do a lot of consultation with our clients ahead of time to address some of these technical creative limitations, and we often will put hair in a bun or put hair in a ponytail or pin it back. So that's an example of our industry, how, when someone comes in, they're like, okay, so we're going to have a Beyonce wind machine. And I'm like, whoa, let's take a step back. In the work that you do, what are some of the things that you have to work around that are just sort of technical limitations?
We use Pepper's Ghost. It's an 1860s, hundreds years old magic trick. what used to be mirrors and glass and reflection has now kind of evolved into 4K resolution projectors and LEDs and thin sheets of patented hologram projection foil. It still takes up a lot of space. So like your setup takes up very little space. Mine takes up much more space. I need more space on a stage. It's also more expensive because the plastics are very expensive to make. VNTANA might have some similar issues with that. But it does take up a lot of space, so that could be an issue. That is a challenge so we've started to develop additional products. The thing also with Pepper's Ghost, and we figured this out because we license our technology to Universal Studios, is because it's Pepper's Ghost, we have to reflect an image off of a space up through the plastic, and it's a whole thing. But if you're up here and you're looking down on the image on the floor, you're now seeing the magic trick. You're seeing how it works. And I hate that. I don't like the viewer seeing how we did it. It's like, Copperfield saying, this is how I did it, And so we had to then develop a way to now take those very specific angles that we need and then hide them. And so when we get hit with challenges like that, it's great. It's a great problem to have because you've got the job at that point. But then you have to figure out how to do them.
One thing that we're doing is, because across AR, VR, XR, MR, all the Rs, there's not a common file format, and a lot of times when you can't use existing assets, then the cost is going to get very expensive because now you're going to have to be creating these files from scratch. And so what we're trying to do to alleviate that pain, because we want to do more, but like to shoot someone and turn them into hologram, you can't use existing video. We shoot in a very specific way. It has to do with the lighting, the angle, the distance, and we're proud of our content, so we want it to look good. But if you can't use something that's shot in 2D, and that's why you probably don't see as many holograms of individuals, because there's still a cost to that. So what we're trying to do is if we're creating a way where people shoot like your space, right? And you're defining what is best practices of creating this content, where we're finally now able to work with existing assets. We can take FBX, OBJ files, 3D models, and reuse that content in our platforms. So to us, it was frustrating, like, oh, we want to use this, we built it, but then they've already spent all their money on the creative and they can't recreate it. So that was frustrating, but I think it's getting better as we're putting out more common, like this is the best practice, is what we can work with. So at least that alleviates such a high cost for a lot of the clients.
I think it's scalability too. It's how many people can see the image and from what angle, and how do you track multiple viewpoints. What we have is good for maybe 5 to 6 people standing in a certain spot. Once you get off axis, so trying to figure out how to track eye lines and try to re-render the image to account for that is one of our challenges.
Can I show a little bitty video?
I feel a little bad only because I told the other guys we weren't doing videos, and so I feel like it would be a little bit of an unfair advantage to the guy who got the video.
Okay,
out there.
not a problem.
Only if we get a verbal confirmation from the. How long is the video?
It's a minute.
Are you guys okay if he shows us
I
1 minute
vetoed
video?
this. Of course, I don't care.
Okay, fair. But we'll cue the video. He's a local guy, so we'll give him.
It's
the
a video. It says Ronnie on the file.
Yeah.
Because the biggest challenge we have is based on light. So it's a lot about, like the setup that we have out here is really in one of the worst conditions we could possibly work, because we have bright lights right above us pointing down. That's really, really difficult to work in. So for us, it's about light. If the video's not there, it's no problem. I just wanted to show you what it would look like in a space that's a little bit darker. The file is Ronnie.
My biggest challenge is when I'm a pushover.
And when it's loading, another thing to think of, so we also do interactive. So we use IR sensors to cut the user out of, so we don't need a green screen, don't need a headset, don't need that phone. So with the IR sensors, we write software that cuts the person out of the background and places them in the experience. As IR sensors are getting better, that is like one thing too, because light affects the IR sensor too. So if you have light directly on the person's head, the cutout's not going to look as clear. You want direct light on them. You can't be in bright daylight. So it's building the parameters to making sure the content looks great, but as IR sensors get better and as the technology gets better, I think you're going to see more use cases of it as well, because we're constantly, it's a blessing and a curse, because as tech gets better, you're building new tech to kind of keep up with it. But I think it's going to be, you'll see it more frequently.
But what
as
do you,
well.
Well, like, what are some common things that potential clients come to you asking for that you have to unfortunately tell them is not currently possible?
Well, like Natascha was saying before, it's hard to bring somebody back as a digital resurrection from existing footage. So I might get approached by an estate of some incredible icon, and they'll say, I have the greatest footage. I have hours of it, but maybe it's shot from different angles. Maybe the footage zooms in and zooms out, right? Because then all of a sudden, once you zoom in and once you start changing angles, then you blow the illusion. So then when I tell them what it costs to bring them back, like what we did with Ronald Reagan, when you do a body double, and then you do a CGI head, and then you need to license the audio from an audiobook, so you have to get the publisher to sign off on it, and then you have to sync everything up. I mean, all of that stuff costs a lot of money. It also takes like a year sometimes, or even longer to do. So that can be frustrating, especially if somebody wants to do, a music festival, 4 months from now. They're like, oh, we're headlining. I want to bring our old lead singer back. It's like, well, maybe you should have called me a year and a half
yet, isn't
ago.
that so funny? In the movie industry, we always compare to the movie industry and the immersive industry. But here in the movie industry, someone works on a film for a year. I mean, it's a long time, but it's not unheard of. Someone spends, millions and millions of dollars on a film, not unheard of. And yet here you are doing actual magic, bringing somebody back from the dead. And you're like, it might take a year to do it, and it might cost, 6 figures. And someone's like, poppycock. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's new, right? Because like movies have been around and television, radio, books, but it is a new-ish technology or technique. It's a new form of entertainment, so people are not as willing to maybe spend the money or not as willing to be that excited about seeing somebody come back. They say, oh, it's macabre or it's morbid, let the dead stay dead. It's like, well, what you just saw, Rami Malek just won the Golden Globe for doing the Queen biopic, right? So it's the same thing. We're bringing somebody back, but it's in a tasteful way. The estate has 100% approval over everything.
So we got the video. We'll cue the video, 1 minute. And while that video is playing, I'd love the panelists I've been told we've got about 10 minutes. I want to, we've talked about the limitations. We've talked about some of the challenges. Let's talk about why somebody should spend maybe 6 figures and a year to bring someone back. What are the opportunities and what does it mean for our society after this short break?
This better be good.
Sorry.
No, it's great.
Pressure.
This is a good example.
So this is an example. We did this at the SLS for Riot Games. And of course, the DJ is a hologram. And it's done in the space where the DJ actually performs. So a live DJ performs immediately thereafter.
Very cool. And is this woman animated? I'm assuming she's an animated. No, she's not.
No, she wasn't.
She was a scanned real person.
It's a real person.
Yeah,
it's a real shoe.
Got a gift like it gotta be Christmas. Swag got a gift like it gotta be gifted. The girls on the campus.
One thing before the challenge I think is helpful. So there's a lot of videos out there that aren't real and they're not holograms. And one thing, like we get calls, like I want a whale in the middle of a gym.
Of a gym.
That's
You've
not
gotten that call too?
possible because first
we
of
all
all, the
got it.
people in the gym aren't even real, so it's like I get these calls all the time. Like I want a hologram, like right here, I want to touch it. Like what do you mean you can't touch it? I'm like we can't touch it because you still know hardware. So I think one thing for us is I spend a lot of time educating the marketplace, and it gets exciting to me that we're even having conversations like this. 4 years ago, we were an augmented reality, a mixed reality, and to us, it's educating the marketplace and having people understand that you can't have a hologram. Like the laser's if you've ever seen like a true hologram, the laser form, that is very, very, very expensive, and you're very limited to colors. And so what we're using here is we're creating, like you said, that magic in an affordable, scalable way for people to actually use it, but you still need hardware, which kind of touches on the limitations we have. So don't believe everything you see.
If it's in a 2D
online.
framed video, be suspicious. Okay, so I'm going to start with Eric to go down the line this way. Ronnie. Let's start. Where do you think the big opportunities are? You know, what are the big selling points to the people that are interested in creating holographic content?
Well, for me, once again, like we all represent different companies, and we're in a different space, in a different market space. We're doing things differently. So I believe that we're still at the beginning of getting people to understand and be able to use our creations and how we do it. I don't think that mine is the only way. I think it's like cars. There's a whole bunch of different type of cars for a whole bunch of different type of uses at a whole bunch of different type of price points. And so I couldn't say, hey, this is the one place that it's going to be used. I think it's going to be used on a broad basis across a bunch of markets. As long as it's affordable. Some people can afford bringing somebody back from the death. Some people can't. Mm-hmm. But you can still do certain things at certain budgets depending on what you need.
I think it's all about really, from an entertainment standpoint, it's about bringing the audience into the experience. And by, holographic technology is sort of the cutting edge way of bringing content into the space of the audience, and also bringing that story, bringing the audience into that story.
The two things I'd like to do this year is, the first thing is, when I talk to estates of icons, I tell them like Tupac and Elvis and Michael Jackson, they all became holograms without ever approving of it. It's the estate or it's the children. I'd like to film an icon while they're still alive. I'd like the greatest icons, the Grammy Award winners, to all let me film them now and put them in a cupboard somewhere so that when the time, when the time happens, for whatever reason, maybe they want to go on tour 100 years from now, they can then perform with the artists that are relevant at the time. I think it would keep the estate alive. I think that it would continue the revenue source for their children and their children's children. The other thing I'd like to do is help elect another president. So perhaps the next politician is watching this that wants to beam from, again, the safety of his or her own office somewhere in the country into all 50 states at the exact same time. I think that we're going to see that happen this year as well.
And to all your points, it's the entertainment, the advertising, the marketing. There's a place where it's going to grow. We started entertainment and really shifted more towards the marketing, the advertising, the training piece. So for us, what I'm super excited about is, like, first, if you're going to use the technology, go big with it, or do something like we just did a hologram of a very famous basketball player. And the reason that's cool is because no one's ever going to be able to meet that person. Even on the street, you probably were too scared to go up and ask for a selfie. But to take a selfie and share that, it becomes that personal experience where you're a part of it. So I think that's the one thing, is customizing and personalizing it. I think it's going to be really big in retail because, one, people are trying to find ways to engage. And now by integrating it with AI, the data collection, it becomes a use case. And our clients are seeing their leads double. And they're actually seeing, as a marketer, being able to see an ROI on using immersive tech is pretty awesome, and to be able to offer that to our clients, and now they can use their own content, is what I'm really excited about, because now we're going to be able to see brands create content on our platform, so we're just going to be seeing more and more of it.
Well, thank you, guys. I think holograms are such a unique application inside of the immersive technology field, and one of the few where you don't need a headset. So it's super exciting, and we'll keep an eye out for all of the fun activations that should be coming from your company soon. All right, that's it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.